Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video. This time, it is what is known as court card favorites, I believe, is the right hashtag for it. This is a VR to, I think it's Atypical Tarot. It's been a while. This is, again, one of those older ones. And I believe it's probably in response to the fact that there was a tag before that called 22 Faves. So 22 Favorite Major Arcana. At the time of you seeing this, you will have seen my the 22 Faves video. So this was the logical next step is to dive into the court cards that I have. And I'm not going to lie. For some reason, the court cards were a little bit harder for me to figure out my favorites for than the major arcana. And I don't know if it's because everyone kind of has like different thoughts and opinions on, the quartz and like the energies and stuff that it embodies, that it can sometimes be kind of hard to figure out what you even like the most. And just like with my other video, some cards will only have one that ended up being my favorite. Some will have more than one. Just because I couldn't decide, and I thought a lot of them had good, good energy. So, I'm going to start this video, I think, with the Court of Cups, okay? So, I'm going to start with the page. And out of all the decks that I owned, I really liked both of these pages the most. So this one is from the Dream Vision Tarot. These are the backs. This one is from the Line Strider Mini. That's the back. And why I liked these as the Page of Cups. So first off, I'm going to get a little closer for this Page of Cups. The reason why I found myself really gravitated towards this Page of Cups is because there's a lot of nods in this card to Alice of Alice in Wonderland, especially like the Peter Pan collar, the kind of collar with, this blue and the white, and with the rabbit hiding on the other, next to her. And I don't know, for some reason, like Alice of Alice in Wonderland definitely gives off Page of Cups vibes. She laughs easy. She cries easy. All the emotions come to her in so many different ways. And so I thought this was a great embodiment of the Page of Cups for me. But this also captures, in my eyes, the childlike wonder of what this card can be about. It's just so beautiful with the colors and the cute fish just wrapped up in the page's hair. And it's just so fun and whimsical. And also for me, out of all the cards that I have in my collection of the page, these two just felt the most Page of Cups energy to me. But then let's get into the Knight of Cups. For some reason, this is from the Practical Magic Tarot. I really found myself gravitating towards this Knight of Cups. And charmer is a good keyword for the Knight of Cups too. They're very flirty. They kind of fly by the seat of their pants. They're someone that everybody wants to hang out with. That's the vibe I always get from the Knight of Cups. And this one just has like this aesthetic and feeling and like vibe, I don't know, that just gives me that Knight of Cups energy the most. I mean, a lot of cards have a lot of the decks I have depictions of the Knight of Cups, and they show it as a typical knight. And yeah, that's fine. But I don't know. I kept looking through my cards for one that captured, the feelings I get the most, and this one was literally the best one. So, yeah. And then the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups is interesting. I feel like a lot of people in Tarot Tube like the Queen of Cups probably because it's kind of connected to the High Priestess card, and it's kind of this mystical otherworldly being who's also very in tune with emotions, very strong in intuition, etc., etc. So for that reason, I guess the two that I gravitated towards gave me the most like intuitive, dreamy, otherworldly vibes for the Queen. The first is from the Guided Hand Tarot, and the second is also from Dream Vision. I really like this Queen. I don't know. As soon as I laid my eyes on her, she's just so dreamy and otherworldly, water witchy, dazzly. Just even the way her gaze is in this photo that I don't know. She's just one of my faves. Every time I see her, I'm excited. And I get it. I immediately get who she is. Whereas this Queen of Cups I also really like because it's more in tune to the depths of emotion, otherworldliness that I think the Queen can embody. Still being in the water element, with the fish. The third eye in the middle. I don't know, this Queen of Cups is always stunning. Like every time I look at this Queen, it's just powerful. And there was a lot of other, not to say there wasn't a lot of other good Queen of Cups in some of the other decks, but these two felt the most like, again, my favorites. Like what feels to me like the most Queen of Cups. And so interestingly enough, for the King of Cups, my ultimate favorite, out of all of them, I mean, there was another one that came close that was also in the Guided Hand Tarot, but for some reason, I found myself really liking this King of Cups. This is from the Northern Animal Tarot, 3rd edition, and there's something about this king that gives me the right King of Cup vibes. The King of Cups is an interesting card. I feel like a lot of energy-wise, obviously, the king is the master of the cup suit, master of their emotions. But that doesn't mean they are devoid of those emotions, And I think the reason why I really like this king is something about his gaze. They're like, the eyes are done so well. There's something about him that feels like this depth of emotion, I guess, where you can tell that they're very kind and that they're, like a great counselor and friend that you want to have because they're going to always give you the advice that you need with your emotions, even if they are not always very emotional. Maybe they're more neutral, but they're not closed off. I don't think the King of Cups gives me closed off vibes, personally. So this one just felt like the right King of Cups. And that's why I chose it. Now, I'm going to go into the Pentacles. Not every single deck that you're going to see calls it Pentacles, which is I've always find really interesting. That suit always seems to change the most. But anyways, for my page of, this one says Page of Earth. This one says Page of Pentacles. I liked both of these. And I'm not going to lie, the Page of Pentacles is an energy of which I don't feel like I personally have a lot of experience with. So trying to think about, okay, then what pages do I like? Had to give me some pause. But I really liked this Page of Earth from the Monsoon Tarot because she's, or they, whoever, looks youthful and young like you expect a page kind of to be, but at the same time, they're very pragmatic. They're very hardworking. As you can see here, she's using he, they, or she, they. Might be using like all kinds of different magic to make the plates clean themselves quicker, right? Finding solutions to the problem. But I also really like this page, also from Practical Magic. I think because the keyword kind of got me. Responsible observer. I do think that the Page of Pentacles is one that probably does soak everything in. They're keeping an eye out on the world around them, but they are, which makes them wiser in some ways than other pages. And so it's just, just gives me those vibes the most, I guess. And now the Knight, what's interesting I found is that I ended up liking 3 Knights of Pentacles the most. And I think it's because I do actually relate now in some way to the Knight of Pentacles. And I feel like I've seen the Knight of Pentacles in other people a lot. Especially like I think about someone like my grandpa, who has passed away. Definitely gave off same energy, kind of, in my opinion. So I ended up having 3 different kind of interpretations of the Knight that I ended up all liking because they all kind of tie into one thing, which is being a hard-working individual in some way, shape, or form. The Knight for me also relates very closely knit with the 8 of Pentacles. So that's also kind of what drew me in. Again, I could not believe so many of the court cards from Practical Magic ended up being like ones I really resonated with. This Knight of Pentacles has the keyword Steady Eddie, and I related to this one a lot. Being a busy bee, but also trying to get maybe some writing in. Also having like all kinds of other stuff you got to do. Slow and steady wins the race. It's not a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. All that kind of ideal shows up in this Knight of Pentacles. So I liked that one. I also liked this Knight of Rings, called Rings, in the Lord of the Rings Tarot. Because, for those who don't know, it's interesting that this deck made him, like, so dark-haired. Because in the movies, I see him as very, like, he has brown hair. But anyways, this is Faramir. For those who are not giant Lord of the Rings nerds. Faramir had a brother named Boromir who was older than him, was his daddy's favorite, and he was kind of given the shaft a lot, to be honest. But he, slow and steadily, built up, an army of followers, kind of, who helped him hold Osgiliath as long as they could. Unfortunately for Faramir, though, I'm not going to spoil everything. You can watch the Lord of the Rings movies for that, or even read the books, I guess, because it's the same thing. His dad kind of was a dickhead, to be honest. His dad was a dickhead. Didn't appreciate all the work that Faramir put in for him and for Gondor. But when I saw this Knight of Rings, I was like, oh, of course. Of course it has to be Faramir. Faramir had to put the most work out of any of them, So, in that way, I loved it. But this was an interesting one, too. This is from the Starseeker Pocket Edition. Starseeker Tarot Pocket Edition. I ended up really liking this Knight of Pentacles too, because this is what it can feel like to be a Knight of Pentacles. especially for me, I guess working in education, working with younger children, it's not easy. Not at all. There's some days where you want to rip your hair out, and you kind of have to go step by step, slowly by step, up to the mountaintop. And it's a long process, but you have to keep going and you have to try. And for that reason, I really like this Knight of Pentacles for depicting that so clearly in my eyes, you know. And then we get into last two. So the Queen, I couldn't pick either. Like I said, a lot of practical magic ones. I was really surprised how many of them were popping up for me, for court cards at least. Because some of the other cards I was like, for like in the majors, I didn't care as much. But I really like this Queen of Pentacles. Earth Mama, she just has this vibe with, you know, all the nature in the background, the bounty, a sparkle and shine to her. That gives me that warm, comforting Queen of Pentacles vibes. But at the same time, she's got this look like, I know you got to put in the work in, you know, because the Pentacles are all about the work and the material. So, I don't know, I just really digged her. But this one also shows it pretty cool. This is from the Little Prisma Visions Tarot. This is the Queen of Pentacles. You know what's funny? For this being a deck that I really, really love, some of the pentacles, some of the quartz for this were not my vibe at all. But I found myself really liking this Queen. I think it's just because she's in her element, you know? There's nature, nourish with the strawberries, the little bunnies down here. And her face just looks like she puts in the work that's necessary when the time comes. And so I like her too. And finally, I didn't expect to have two favorites of the King of Pentacles. But once again, who's surprised at this point? Okay, another practical magic one. I like this keyword too. Boss Babe, King of Pentacles. They're the one who's, you know, got it all, who's put in the work, and now gets to chill out on plastic chairs and, you know, enjoy themselves and their riches that they have amassed because they played the game smartly, you know. The master of their suit. I liked this one. But I also like this King of Coins. And I'm going to explain why, because this is not very clear to people who have not had experience with the Raven Prophecy Tarot. Okay. This King of Coins, as it's named in that deck, has a very good explanation as to why Maggie Stiefvater made it a rose. And it has to do with the fact, well, not only, you know, the rose being very nature energy, which is what, you know, the earth, what the coins, the pentacles are in, but also just the idea of a rose. Roses take a very long time to cultivate for those who do not know. And to make sure the bushes don't get wild, you have to carefully figure out where to snip, grow them, you know. King of Coins, they are beautiful and pragmatic, and they know what they are. They know what they need to grow. They know how to build up. But they are also dangerous. They've got thorns. They will come after you if it means keeping their materials or their work or whatever it is in relation to the coins afloat, right? You can't just rip them up without getting possibly stabbed, you know. I really liked her explanation, Maggie Stiefvater's explanation, and that's why this ended up being one of my favorite kings. Yeah. Okay, 2 courts are down. I'm now going to go with swords. Wow, this feels like a weighty pile. I just like picked it up. I'm like, what in the world? Page of Swords. I also was struggling a little bit at first with the page. Again, some of these pages struggle with their energy a bit, not gonna lie. But I ended up actually having 2 interesting page favorites. This one I did not expect at all, but its simplicity ended up making the most sense to me. This, I don't show this deck a lot, but this is the Trinity Tarot by Ari Weisner. In their deck, it is the Apprentice of Swords, not called the page. But the reason why I like this page, or this apprentice, is because obviously you still see the sword, but they're a very studious sword, you know, intellect, the mind. And they're at the beginning of it all. They want to know everything. They want to grow as much as they can. And for that reason, this is my favorite. One of my favorites. But I also like this page of sword. And I think it's because there's something about this page that reminds me kind of like what it means to what it means to work with like students. I feel like a lot of young kids, if they're more logical, they kind of go into this vein of the Page of Swords. Like the little shit who's always asking you, why? Why is it like this? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? Very Page energy to me. They just want to know everything. So this kid gave off those vibes in the guided hand tarot, so I also like this page a lot. Next, I could have picked a lot of different cards for this next one, but I found myself only with one. This is Knight of Swords, again from the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. And I have to say, I immediately knew. I was like, oh wait, I don't need to look through any other decks. I know this is my favorite Knight of Swords because of how clearly it gets the message across of what a Knight of Swords is capable of. This is a brutal card, right? There's blood here. But the Knight of Swords can kind of be a I'm not going to say all Knight of Swords are like brutal people all the time. But they have a lot of energy that, even if it's internal, is like this. In the sense that they have these scissors, this weapon, this thing, and they're not afraid to use it. They can be hostile. They can just tell you whatever is on their mind without regard for anybody. They literally do not care. Kind of always the vibe I've gotten from the Knight of Swords. And not to say that they're not sharp as a wit and they're, they don't want to be honest, because they are being honest. Like, they're telling you the truth. They're not lying to you. It's just without regard or care for like other people's emotions sometimes. That's what I get the vibe of the Knight of. So this one has always been effective in understanding for me what the Knight of Swords is. And I know, again, there's no absolutes to all this, but every time this kind of card has come up in a reading, it's usually about something that cuts deep, that can be painful, and, you just don't want to hear. Now, for this next one, I have 3. And I think it's because I've always understood also the Queen of Swords. I understand the Queen of Swords because in my eyes, she's always kind of like someone kind of like my sister. I've talked about this a bit, but let me explain. The Queen of Swords can kind of, I mean, again, air, more focused on intellect, more focused on matters of the mind. They're not very emotional people. The Queen of Swords, though, has a little more experience than the Knight of Swords, right? But they're still, as this card says, they still want to reveal the brutal truth. They still will tell you exactly what you need to hear without regard for your feelings. It's just a fact. They're not like trying to necessarily hurt your feelings, and they're not trying to be the biggest bitch in the world like a Knight of Swords can be. Because the Knight of Swords reminds me of that like kid in middle school you knew who was just a shithead who said whatever they felt like. Kind of that vibe, you know. But the Queen has a little more experience. So sometimes she will hold back, but most of the time she will not. It'll be a brutal truth. I liked this Queen of Swords also from the Starseeker, though, because she's got experience. You can see more. The damage done to her, the things she's seen, has made her wiser and stronger and more willing to say the truths that are necessary. You know, it's a life experience that pulled her in. So I liked this queen also. But Eowyn from The Lord of the Rings is also a good Queen of Swords. Because, again, for those who are not Lord of the Rings nerds, Eowyn, it's not that she wasn't aware of her emotions. She was very aware of her emotions. But she always, always, always fought for the justice, for the truth, and for what needed to be done. She knew what was necessary, and she made it happen. She ended up destroying, you know, what's his face? Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to forget. There's a technical name for these beasts. And the person who was trying to take over Sauron, but, you know, she defeated him. And I just think, yes, she is also a really great Queen of Swords. Like, the more softer side. Because I'm not trying to say that a Queen of Swords can be a complete bitch. I mean, sometimes maybe. But she's also got this side where she could be a really good force for good. And so that's why I saw this, you know? And finally, the King of Swords. Funny that there's like 2 birds in here. And then this one. King of Swords. For me, let me be honest. Okay, this is from Tarot Divine. This is my favorite one of my favorite King of Swords because I don't know, it's the color. I think for me it's mostly the colors, but if you look up bits about like what griffins stand for in mythology, this king makes so much sense. And I'm just obsessed. This is more for the colors, I think, but like also being the wielder of having to deliver diplomacy, having to be direct and honest and say what needs to be said also, but with even more experience than the queen has had to face, what the knight has had to face, what the page has had to face, you know. They rein it in more, but they give you exactly what you need when the time comes. Which is also the vibe that this king gives me. But the reason why from the Northern Animal Tarot I really like this King of Swords is because the owl, as many might know, is a symbol of wisdom, right? Especially in like Greek mythology, you know, it's related to Athena, about how to run things smoothly, about knowledge, about depths. And I like that the king was an owl in this deck, which is also why I really like this. But finally, I found myself really liking, once again from the Monsoon Tarot, I found myself really liking this King of Air. Because I feel like this is what I relate to the most. King of Air energy being in the education field. Again, still concerned about intellect, about knowledge, about, being of that realm. And they're not unconcerned with their emotions. They actually know emotions and they can understand people and they get it, right? But they're not like flooded all the time by their emotions. And they also have to rein in other people, like this cat that really, really, really wants to attack this bird flying by, They're holding the cat by the hands being like, no, sweetie, not the time to be doing that. You know what you need to do, and I'm right here to help you. I'm going to make sure you get this done without hurting anybody. And for some reason, this is forever going to be one of my favorites for that, It's just a really funny one, I guess. And finally, wow, this video is going on forever. Finally, let me get into one of my favorite suits, which is the Wands. Again, all the pages I kind of struggled with a little bit. But this ended up being my favorite. This is from the Herb Crafters Tarot. This page, or known as Iha, right? A fire, is my favorite because, not just because it's a California poppy, right? I live in California. Interestingly enough, it is illegal to pick these in California. You cannot. You will get fined. But nonetheless, I still like this one because of the childlike whimsy of it, about how she's so curious and has this creativity and fire going to want to learn more about this California poppy, and but there's still cute whimsy and youthfulness and playfulness that feels very much in the fire suit. I just love the scene that's being shown here. It's really nice for a page. So I found myself really gravitating towards this one. And then, interestingly enough, these next, let me double check. Yes. Wow. I am really indecisive. This is why. I guess that's because I love wands. All these have multiple. Sorry, not sorry. Knight of Wands. These ended up being my favorites. Kind of a weird bunch, but I'm going to explain. This one, I really like the aesthetic of this one, the movement of this one. I just like what's being presented here, and that's why this is one of my favorite knights, and the movement required, and the speed of energy needed, is what. This is from Anima Mundi, by the way, which is why I like this one. But these two, in my opinion, really give me Knight of Wand energy. This is from the Northern Animal Tarot. This card in particular, and actually this one also, have been stalkers. They have been following me around. Maybe they've grown on me because of that. These specific cards even. Like when I've been using the decks. This Knight of Wands feels very personal. I don't know why. Something about this coyote energy, the outfit, the story behind this knight. Like there is a tale that could be told here. And the mask. I don't know what it is, but this is one of my favorites I've ever seen. I don't know. It's been my muse lately. I'm really obsessed with this Knight of Wands for some reason. But this Knight of Wands is also a fave because Tatterhood, something about her energy, right, is very Knight of Wands to me. It's very go, go, go. It's very, I'm going to burn the world down and take all of you with me. Like, ready to go and to be creative and to push through. And just expression on the face, you know. That's why I really, really like this one, I guess. And that's the Knights. The Knights have been stalking me. This Knight of Wands has been stalking me. So there's also that. But this month, as I film this, so I don't know if this will actually come out this month, but as I film this, it is still March. And these are some Queen of Wands. Well, these two I've been using for sure this month, and I really like them. This one is just one of my favorites ever from the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. Because the Queen of Wands is the fire breather, you know. She's confident and fiery, and she knows who she is, knows what she wants to be, and she's not afraid to let the world burn if she needs to. Which is why simple but effective. I really love this Queen of Wands. You know, it has to be, right? This Queen of Wands, excellence. Do I even need to say why? But it's the Guided Hand Tarot once again. Love, love, love. Always going to love this Queen of Wands. She makes me smile. So good. And these two, I don't know. They just hold the same energy. Like this Queen of Wands from the White Newman, who, with her fingertips, right, a blue flame, she can either burn the world or save it. She's so good. I don't know. Same with her. This is why I couldn't decide. I'm like, oh, okay, I have 4 favorites then. Because this one is also so good with Palais. Oh, what a fiery force of good. Really liked it. Really like it. And so, yeah, I really could not decide with these. And finally, the King of Wands actually has 3. And I tried, it's because I was trying to think of like, well, what really makes me think of the King of Wands energy? I think that energy, even if you say, okay, very bare bones, you say, okay, King of Wands, master of the wands. So they're fire. So they're a creative patron, you know. They charge the energy, but it's controlled and not out of control and bursting. But how do you show that in different ways? This one is from the Yonasa Yao 7th. I really like the colors, but also just like, there's something about this king that's very, I don't know. They've got it all reined in with the fire, but they've also, you can tell in the way that the silhouette is, that they've been through a lot. They've seen a lot. And yeah, for that reason, I really think they know. But you could also say, okay, well, this King of Wands is very much a leader of their suit, right? Even the fiery color hair and the fire coming from their hand. They know what it means to lead. They very much give off leader vibes, just like this one does. But it's also in that fiery, controlled energy. Like, nothing in his expression is saying he's going to unleash it in a fiery blaze, you know, and destroy everyone. It's not that at all. So I really liked this king. But I also found myself really liking this King of Wands. And I think it's because this King of Wands is the more restrained side in action. They're, you know, they've got that wand. They've got the energy in them. They have this cute little cat. I love their cat. But they look more like the patron sort. Like one who maybe doesn't create as much art anymore, but they'll lead you to what you need to do to create. And I think that's why I liked this one. But it was kind of hard. Like I said, there was a lot of interesting kings in my decks, but I ended up liking these the most. But with that said, thank you all for watching. This is another long one. As I ponder why I like some of these cards as much as I do. I'm going to tell you now. I do have plans to do the same exercise with all 4 minor arcana suits, not just the courts. I will eventually come up with hashtags for all of them, but I think I'm going to start with where my mind's going, and I will probably start with the wands. So keep an eye out for that. If you would also like to go through all your favorites, you definitely can. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to be back next time. Should be, right? Yeah. Bye, everyone.